Welcome to our review of the Boundary Supply Errant Sling in X-Pac. So I have a bit of a personal story to tell you how I came around to this sling here. Recently I have managed to break this collarbone here, which means I couldn't wear my nomadic backpack anymore or my nomadic sling because it goes this way and it causes a bunch of pain on the shoulder that it's resting on. So I was looking around the Nomads Nation HQ with all the options and choices we have, and I found one option where I could change the sides of the sling, and it was the Monarch sling. And the Monarch was designed exactly that way, except when I put it on the other shoulder, everything was pointed down. So when the Boundary Supply came into the office, I was like, Aaron, please let me use this for a while. Please, please, please. I'll even jump on camera. Margaret's laughing her off because it's a true story. So let's dive into the Boundary Supply Errant Sling. This is actually my second experience with the Errant Sling. I had the V1 when it just came out. It had a lot more pockets and a lot more organization. And it was, in fact, the Errant Sling that made me realize that minimalism in packing is something I should consider seriously, because I was getting tired of wondering which pocket has my stuff in it. So let's jump into the overall aesthetic. For a sling this size, it doesn't look half bad. I'm a big fan of the cyberpunk aesthetic, and if I was a person who was wearing tech wear, oh my god, this would fit like a fist in an eye socket. As a quick overview, this is a relatively minimalist sling. It has one massive main compartment, one side access front compartment, a laptop case, and a sunglasses / whatever else pocket. And this harness system is really well padded, and you can switch it from left to right, slinging however you need it to be. There's an amazing amount of ventilation in this back panel here. Reminds me of the Osprey Airscape similar system foam underneath with ventilated mesh on top. This guy has a 15-liter capacity. This is the X-Pac version of the sling. It comes in one color, which is black. It weighs 1.7 pounds and it costs $319 US. So I'm gonna dive into a more in-depth look at this bag. So when you're watching it and you're not feeling it, you're like, it's not really my cup of tea. And scroll on to the end where I'll give you alternative suggestions for something similar to this, if this is not your vibe. And if at any point you feel like this is the bag for me, I must have it, we always ask that you use the first link in our description. That link gives you the best price, and it also helps to support our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Without further ado, let's dive into the front of the Boundary Supply Errant Sling. The front material here is X-Pac. For those who don't know, X-Pac is a very durable and weather-resistant material. It's actually got 3 layers. There's a waterproof membrane in the back. You've got this X pattern here for strength, and it's all coated up with what I can only suppose to be nylon, but they don't really tell you. And I quite like this look. On this bag, it makes it look extra techy. Yesterday, when I was carrying this into the office, I got wet because there was a rainstorm. You can look it up on Instagram, Google. There's like a lot of flooding. But my bag and the stuff inside it stayed bone dry. On the very front, we have this central buckle, which is made by Fitlock, which make some really nice magnetic hardware, but this one is kind of, it takes a little bit of getting used to. You can't just pull it out like this. It's not gonna open. You have to like figure it out, which I guess is better for theft resistance, because if someone can just open it really easily and quietly, it wouldn't be great because they can get it into your bag. So I have no complaints about it being tricky. On the bottom here, we have a couple of external lash points. I do not understand what these are for, because I haven't figured out how to use them yet. On the front bottom here, we have an external lash point as well, with a very similar story. The center thing here is only here for decoration, I suppose, and to hold this flap in place so it doesn't dangle around, which is much appreciated. Just like Aaron, I don't like excess dangle on my stuff. So, since we're on the front, let's take a look at the front pocket, which is accessible from both sides and just leads into one giant pocket. Can you see my face through here? In here, we actually have quite a little bit of organization. Let me take a pen, key leash. I'll talk about this thing in a second, because I've made some modifications that are awesome. Throat mint. Okay, so even though I love this pocket, I do have a couple of criticisms about it. Firstly, there's a whole bunch of this internal organization. We have one slide pocket here and another one on the other side. With on top of that, we have even more lash points, which are quite small, and I can't figure out what I can put in these other than a pen. But do I really carry 6 pens? Like, no, I don't know what else I can do with them. And these ones are quite tight. I mean, can I fit my phone in there? Let me find a phone. I found my phone. I can fit my phone. It doesn't want to go because it's going at an angle, so with some effort, my phone will go in. If you're someone who carries like a thick dad wallet in here, that's not gonna fit. There's no way it's gonna fit into this. This is just too big. So, which is fine because it works really well as a throw wall. So that's what I use it for. I just throw stuff in there and I forget about it. It's pretty small. It just goes around this area here in the front, and that's really all I'm gonna need for quick access. Anyway, taking this out and talking about an interesting thing in the middle here is this Fidlock key holder. Now, Boundary Supply sells their Fidlock key holder things separately, but I didn't buy one because I got one off the broken Monarch sling, and I pried it apart and taped it to the back of my Orbit key. And now, look at this. It's perfect. Yes, I'm so nerdy and I love it. Okay. So this basically covers everything about the front. So let's go ahead and talk about the middle of the Boundary Supply Errant Sling. Because there's a couple of really interesting features that I haven't seen on any other bag. Aaron has, but I haven't. But let's start with the most obvious stuff first, which is this top handle. There's plenty of space. It's got a bit of padding, not much, but it's just like, you know, enough. How much are you gonna need for carrying this? It also has some interesting side handles, which I don't understand what these are for, other than style handles. I don't know what to do with these. Am I gonna carry my bag like this and have this dangle around? Maybe it's for external lashing. So yeah, I can't figure out these side handles, but the good thing is they don't really get in the way of anything, so I can just leave them here. Now, before I even get into the main compartment, actually, let me open up the main compartment. This here is a gigantic hole. It has zero internal organization. It's just a gigantic storage for your hoodies, shopping, whatever you need to put in here. And as you just noticed, what is this? So the fact is, this bag actually self-compresses when it's not packed up, because it has little magnets here and here and here and here. So when it's not fully packed out, it maintains this sleek silhouette. But let's say you need to put stuff in it when you go shopping, you're coming back from work, your wife says, "Hey, Tav, can you pick up like 4 liters of milk?" As a matter of fact, I have put 4 liters of milk in here and it was perfect. And I could even fit my umbrella on top with my headphones as well. So this thing has an impressive amount of capacity. Let me show you what it looks like when it's packed up. Unbound merino, wink wink. A green t-shirt that's hopefully not used. Aaron's headphones. I've got my own, but let's see. Aaron's ones don't fold up like mine do, so let's fit those in here as well. Extend this out. And click. Look at that. Boom. And one thing I'd say, it's like, it still looks kind of like a backpack. You're just like, it's fine. It doesn't look out of place. It doesn't look too stuffed. And when I take everything out, it's gonna collapse back down, which is beautiful. Take this out. Man, magnets and backpacks. This is great. Back to slim. One thing they could have done, in my opinion, is maybe have a brighter interior lining in here, because the gray really doesn't help me see anything. With that said, however, here's my normal use case. Hi, I'd like to buy these items, please. That'll be $2. Okay, sure, let's go. And I just start stuffing it like this. So maybe my point about the interior color is not as important because it's just a side stuff bag, but would have been cool to have something brighter. So let's move on to the top here. So on the top here, we have a glasses case with a slightly softer interior lining in it. And in this glasses case, I hold this guy, the giblet. So this guy is meant to go from your main sling onto the side of the slings to stop it from moving around when you're doing sports or cycling or whatever. I don't do that, so I just keep it here in case I need it. In fact, I went hiking with this bag and I didn't use it. Now, this is a fairly simple compartment. It has no internal organization again. It's covered by a PU coated zipper for extra weather resistance, which is made by YKK. Okay, and to top things off, there's a little lip here that you can stow your zipper puller under to make this thing almost disappear. In fact, I was looking for my keys this morning and I couldn't find them because I stuffed them in here for no reason. So yeah, this is easy to forget, and the little cover here stops any water from getting onto the zipper. It's really nice. Now on to my favorite feature of the Boundary Supply Errant Sling in X-Pac is the laptop compartment. And I would go ahead and say something as bold as, if you have a traditional, you know, briefcase style laptop bag, it's time to get a new bag, man, because this one rocks if you have a 13-inch computer. Look at it! This is awesome. So I work in video production and I need to have a laptop with a sketching function with me. This is a 13-inch Samsung. I also need to carry my pens with me, and they fit up here on the top. Yeah, it moves around a little bit, but never enough to actually fall out. So I've lost this pen once before, and since it's been in this bag, it's never gone missing. The thing on the top here, however, is a cable for my headphones. I use these guys, Marshalls. The laptop compartment itself has a ton of padding on the back here, and it's got a little bit of padding between the front and the main compartment as well. Now, you did see me just chuck my laptop in here. Is that just because I'm wild like that? Or is there a false bottom? I have not checked. No, there's just a bunch of documents on the bottom of my laptop sleeve. This is literally my everyday bag. I'm not making things up. No, this does not have a false bottom, but it has a little foam insert on the bottom to insulate it against any hard surfaces, but as a false bottom, no, it's not there. All right, so in you go. So this is a 13-inch laptop. I'd say you can get a 14 in there. Do we have a 14? Let's get the old MacBook out, the demo MacBook. Let's see if that'll fit. So this is like a 2017 MacBook Pro. Fits with a little less space to spare. And on the side here we have a plastic cutout of an iPad. Obviously no problems. And are we gonna fit a 17? No. Yeah, honestly, one thing I would say is like, it feels like I'm getting more value out of my laptop because it's always with me. So they're called notebook, but then they're in your bag or they're on your desk. And it doesn't really make a lot of sense being a notebook on your desk, but if it's with you, I can actually use it to take notes. I can actually whip it out, do what I need to do real quick and put it back in. And since I got this bag, I feel like I'm getting a lot more joy out of my laptop because I have it, always. The laptop compartment is covered with a PU coated zipper, and there's a little couple of murmurs on the internet saying that PU coated zippers are not that weather resistant. So when I was in that rainstorm previously, I was wondering, oh snap, what if that exposed PU coated zipper is gonna leak? It did not leak, laptop's fine, everything is bone dry in this bag. Also, we got 2 zipper pullers because this is an ambidextrous bag, so if you're pulling it on the left or the right, everything's fine. And as far as pulling strength goes, these are not particularly sticky. These are just fine for opening and closing. And if you're still here, there's a pretty high chance you're a bag enthusiast like myself or Margaret or Aaron or Marissa. And if you are, you should know that YouTube is not the only thing we do. We also have a newsletter. This newsletter comes to your inbox occasionally, and it covers topics like the latest drops, industry gossip, behind the scenes of what's happening in the bag world. So if you're interested in something like that, please search for this globe emoji in the description below. Anyway, back to the review. Let's move on to the back of the Boundary Supply Errant Sling in X-Pac. I'd like to start with a thick, beefy, comfortable shoulder strap. It's comfortable for me, but I like my shoulder straps a little bit harder than Aaron. Aaron would say this is not the softest, but the stuff that goes in here is not going to be crazy heavy. Actually, since I had this full of laptop and milk bottles, it was still fine to carry. Oh, and actually, here's a clip of me carrying my kid on this sling. She's like 12 kilos, even carrying her with this was fine, so we're all good. The top of the strap has a couple of loop-de-loops here, which are for the jingle bob that has to go through here, through these Hypalon pull tabs, and gets stuck on the other side and comes through and then clips closed here. And then you have a magnetic opener And then this one on the bottom, this guy clips down here, gets closed up. And then you have some weird Y buckle thing. Y as in Y. Man, I'm giving Boundary Supply so much but I do love this bag. So having a 1 and a 2 clip, I can guess this is great for cyclists. Oh, this is actually grand. It's more comfortable now. But I wouldn't be seen dead having this situation going on. I think style-wise, it's a no-go for me. I know, keep it down in the comments there. It's like, but yeah, it keeps things more secure. So just like every sling, if you bend over, it's gonna end up in front of you. But with this helper strap here, you can go. Yeah, so it does have a purpose. I tried using it as an external lasher, but it didn't work out that way because it's made for one purpose and one purpose only. I'm gonna clip it closed. I'm gonna put it back to where I found it. Continuing down along the strap, we have our nice fidlock buckle and a really smooth nylon strap, which ends with a G-hook that you can then change sides with. If there's any criticism, I would have maybe 2 points. Number 1, I don't like this plastic dangle stopper. I love that they put a dangle stopper in it, but I think that this could have just as easily been fabric because I'll notice it. It's never painful, but I can notice it. A piece of plastic against my ribs. It's not ideal. The second piece of criticism, not really towards Boundary Supply, but more towards Fidlock themselves, in that they didn't provide a reverse option for this, where the lock can be switched around. This was a problem in the version 1, and it's a problem in this version as well. Allow me to demonstrate. So, I just got my new Boundary Supply bag in X-Pac. I want to see what the opening's like. Oh! So yeah, it's backwards. It should be that when I pull this little puller here, the top of the bag stays attached to my hand, not the bottom. It doesn't swing onto the ground behind me. But I think it's because Fidlock simply doesn't provide a reverse option for this. Yeah, because this side is a single loop and this side is a double loop that you need for a extendable thing. So it's nothing they could have done. Moving on to the back of the bag. As you can see here, this nice EVA foam right here with a channel down the middle that allows a little bit of airflow. This washboard texture here barely touches against your back. We got a mesh over here to allow all the ventilation that you could possibly need. Is it the softest? Absolutely not. But are you carrying heavy stuff for long periods of time? Also no. So I think it's kind of perfect for this bag. Now, and you'll need some ventilation in a larger bag like this, because if you're carrying something that's plastered onto your back for a couple of hours, it's gonna get pretty uncomfortable pretty fast, which I can say this one does not. On the back, we also have 1 or 2 more lash points that I don't know what to do with, but a lot of lash points on this bag. And that concludes the back compartment. So let's quickly dive into the pros and cons of the Boundary Supply Errant Sling X-Pac. On the pro sides, weatherproof as expandable capacity. That's automatic. You don't have to expand it out and then collapse it. It expands itself as needed. Amazing laptop compartment, great comfort, ambidextrous design. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But no bag is perfect, so let's talk about the cons. Con number 1 for me is this Fidlock thing is in reverse, which means I always need to use 2 hands to open it or slide the whole thing over my head. Con number 2 is more of a nitpick, but I was really a fan of the external water bottle holder on the Nomadic Sling. Even though it looked really stupid, it was great for putting my umbrella in. And I live in Hong Kong and it rains a lot and my umbrella's wet and I don't want to put it inside the waterproof compartment because, you know, this waterproof, so water's not going to get out to dry either, if it makes sense. Makes sense to me. Let me know if it makes sense to you in the comments. And con number 3 would be this interior being really dark and hard to see into. But it doesn't matter because it's a side stuff bag, so I'm just gonna rummage and find anything anyway. So now that you've considered the pros and the cons of this bag and you're feeling like, yes, this is the bag for me, I really want one, you can pick one up using the first link in the description. That link makes sure you get the best price and it also helps to support our channel. Thank you very much. But on the other hand, if you're looking at this and saying, not really feeling it, I've got some alternatives for you. So the first alternative to the Boundary Supply Errant Sling X-Pac is the Aer Tech Sling 3. It basically covers all the cons that I mentioned about the Boundary Supply. The interior color is lighter, it can carry a laptop, has more organization if that's your thing, and looks a lot less cyberpunk and more business friendly. Alternative number 2, if you're like me and you're like, yes, I need an umbrella / water bottle holder, check out the Nomadic Sling over here. It can hold a tablet, but not a computer. It's got more internal organization and overall simpler use case. And if you're curious to see what the rest of the Nomads Nation team thinks, please check out the video above. It's our leaderboard video. It's where we all got together one day and talked about the bags we use every day, being people who have the biggest choice of all bags. It's pretty interesting. Should give it a watch. My name's Tav, this is Nomads Nation, and I might see you next time.